Last year, Paul Wellness told you all that I don't exist. The myth of an intelligent woman working in the sex industry to put herself through college, he told you, is a fantasy. I think I can quote him as saying, if it's such a proper, respectable, legitimate industry, why don't people stand up and advocate for it? Well, I am. I'm very pleased to meet you. My name is Laura, and I'm a bona fide Irish hooker. I want you to look closely. There are no horns on my head, and if you turn me upside down, there is no 666. I'm a mother, a daughter, a sister, and a friend. I'm very clearly not on drugs, and as a 5'9" dominatrix, to refer to me as coerced, trafficked, pimped, or abused is laughable. Now, I know what you're thinking, that I'm not representative. You'll hear the term vast majority in sex work debates a lot, and as a sex worker with 20 years' experience both here and in the UK, I'd like to speak to that term. Over and over again in the media, we hear about beatings, we hear about pimps, we hear about drug addiction, it goes on and on. The media seem to focus on one of two ends of the spectrum, either the high-flying call girl who earns £3,000 a night, or the desperate street-standing woman who's struggling to pay for her drugs. The vast majority, in reality, of sex workers fall somewhere in between those extremes and are simply paying a mortgage, just like many people in this room. Indeed, in my time, I worked with a woman who finished a day shift at AIB and came to work with me on the night shift at a parlour because she didn't have enough money to feed her children. In the UK, we've moved forwards. Sorry, I'm incredibly nervous. We've moved forwards in terms of acceptability. More and more sex workers are outing themselves now and coming forward to speak because in the end, that is the only way we will strip away the myths and the veil of mystery surrounding what we do. So why should legislation be the way forward? Well, number one, as a woman working alone, I deserve the protection of the law, not persecution. I should be able to go to the police and report an attack on me without living in fear of being recorded in Harcourt Terrace as a known prostitute, because that is what they do. And that also stands in the way of women exiting the industry. Number two, I should be able to insist on my client wearing a condom and criminal sanctions if he refuses to do so. Thank you. Number three, I should be allowed to refuse any service, any client, as is my right to my bodily integrity. All of what I've just said was actually made possible in New Zealand by the Prostitution Reform Act of 2003, and New Zealand now leads the way in showing the rest of the world how sex workers should be treated and integrated into society. The single biggest problem you have here in Ireland around sex work is stigma. It's huge, and I'm here to tell you that it kills. At the moment on the table is the Swedish model, which advocates making the purchaser of sex a criminal. We know, because studies have shown, that the women affected by the Swedish model will shy away from the police because if they report an attack, then they potentially leave their property open to abuses by police, who will return to that property and score cheap points in arresting the clients. The fact that the property in question happens to be their home is by the by. So subsequently, some of these women are rendered homeless, and this is how we protect vulnerable women. Right. On foot of the Swedish model, this year we saw the death of Pitty Yasmin. Based in Sweden, she was a dedicated mother, a fiery activist, and a beautiful person. Because she was a sex worker, the Swedish authorities took her children away from her, awarded them to her abusive ex-partner, who subsequently went on to stab her to death. Yasmin's death was not in vain. In her memory, sex workers around the world gathered at the Swedish embassies and we protested loudly. Never before has it become more important to recognise sex work as work, to afford us with the same protection as any other labour force. No one deserves to die because of stigma. Legalise our work. Not only is it accepting and progressive, it sends a message out to potential abusers and it saves lives. Thank you.